does the thing, and it's not very nice about it. I know!
life.
Well, there you go. Okay. There, adjust thy camera. I'm looking up. Oh yeah, I think I looked. I feel like I looked this up before. I'm having a bit of a problem with. There we go. That's the one. And then we want. Seasonals. Drink Propeller seasonals. Yeah, confirm. Fine. London, sparkling, white Belgian, pumpkin spice, southbound, blah-bitty, 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 Twin Shores, nitro, Mocha Oatmeal Stout. It actually does say sold out on the site.
Does it? Wow.
Let's see. I think I found online descriptions of all of them. Hooray. Yeah, there we go. So I guess we are all set. It is 8:06. That's perfect. I am Ross. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Ian, and together, despite a few problems with cans deciding to open before we want them to, we are attempting to drink Nova Scotia Dry. The long-ish story told short is one of us has the Propeller. We're gonna be drinking stouts, and we decided to do some oatmeal stouts. So we have the Big Poppa from Candid Brewing out in Antigonish, and we have the Mocha Oatmeal Stout from Propeller Brewing Company out of Halifax. And then a thing happened. There was a stumbling block. You tell it much better than I do.
Well, let's condense this into 5 seconds.
Oh, all right.
There was me when you sent these things. Oh, there we go. We're going to do these two, and I was reading them, and I actually gave you the thumbs up on your Facebook and various platforms. And then I thought, well, I'll search that out, the Big Poppa, because I thought, I know I've got that. Let's just get that thing out. And I did. And then I was like, oh, where's my Mocha? Where is my Mocha? And I literally went through everything, and I thought, why do I not have the Propeller Mocha? And then slowly but surely it dawned on me. I thought, oh, yeah, I think that was the one. That was the one that kind of went bang in the corner of my room several months ago. And I very quickly put it into the freezer to try and save it to the bits that were still there in the can, and it froze to the bottom of the freezer, and I ate it in chocolatey chunk forms that evening, and I'd forgotten. I thought, oh, I must replace that before we go and do oatmeal stouts. Never did. And of course it rose its ugly head this afternoon when I went to get it. And of course I whizzed around trying to get this thing because I thought
you did. Yeah, you went above and beyond today trying to replace that.
I have to say. Go that far. I literally thought, well, I'm sure I've seen this in the stores recently, but by all accounts I hadn't. I called the old liquor stores in the area, and they said, no, there's none in the valley here. You're probably gonna have to get that from Propeller itself. And I thought, oh dear. So we do have an alternative, do we not?
We do. You in the aboving and beyonding that you did today, you stopped by Wayfarers, talked to our good friend Pete Adams, the brewmaster down there, and picked up the Muddy Big Stout. So the long and the short of it is I have 3 beers and you have 2 and a chocolate freezer.
That's fine.
And to be honest, I didn't realize that you said that so you were picking the chunks of beer ice out of the freezer and they tasted chocolatey?
No, they didn't, because most of goodness was all over the floor.
I just thought if the ice was still chocolate, that's a very good mark for Propeller.
It really wasn't. It was very tasteless because I'd frozen any goodness that was left in the can. No, all the taste had gone. I thought almost as an experiment, Roth. I thought, let's just see if this works. It didn't.
Well, I mean, so that affects the marks right away. I'm not even going to bother tasting it. 0 out of 10 does not survive explosions and freezing all at the same time.
It was a mocha slushy. It was pretty
And
nasty.
it just
all
did
round.
not hold the flavor. No, sorry, Propeller. 0 to 10. We just calling it right now. So the Big Poppa. This is a cute little place that I stopped at in one of my adventures going east during some of my daughter's sports, and I stopped in at the Candid Brewery in Antigonish, and I picked up a few interesting things, anything that looked interesting, and whenever you say stout and it says Big Poppa, it's a very jet black can. It's got the Candid logo on the top. It's got Big Poppa. It's kind of written in like it's a bit graffiti-esque. Is that about right? So Big and then Poppa in sort of white letters with a cyan, light blue background, and then a little gold crown as sort of the extra dot over top of the eye. Not quite certain what this is really going for, but on the can and on the website, they do say the same thing. This is a 5.4%, so it's the lowest alcohol percentage today, and I am excited about that because oftentimes the stouts come in beneath 5. And a little part of me always twinges and goes, really? Couldn't quite, 4, 6 for your stout. You hear the word stout, and I just... I feel like it implies big.
Strength. Yes, it does.
Yeah,
it does,
strength and bigness.
Yeah.
And it says, here you go. Here's a 4.2% stout. Oh, porters do the same thing. So, written on the side, not too biggie, not too smalls. Oh, I see. It's a Biggie Smalls can, because that's the King. He's got the King, some graffiti. It's a hip-hop reference. This beer is just right, brewed with loads of oatmeal for a silky mouthfeel and a full body. Big Poppa is a smooth and satisfying stout that will definitely leave you hypnotized. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. This all makes sense now, except for the fact...
clearly, you just went straight into your Ross mode there. So you're familiar with this person.
I am familiar with exactly one song because they always play it after he got shot and killed. They would play this all the time. This was the sort of his iconic song was that. It was Biggie Smalls, and the chorus just goes Biggie, Biggie, Biggie. Can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me.
Which part of Antigonish was he from then?
Oh, see, and I was about to mention that as well, because if you think of pretty much the most white bread milquetoast part of the most white bread milquetoast section of the most white bread milquetoast part of Canada, and you're in Antigonish making hip-hop references, and I can tell you, when I went in the pub that night, two things I noticed. One, there was a lack of Biggie Smalls music playing. And two, there was definitely a lack of Biggie Smalls enthusiasts in the establishment. Not to make too wide casting a net of assumptions and judgments, but there were a lot of gray-haired white folk listening to country music when I walked in there.
Not too much gangster rap going on then, as far as you could see. Well, there's something
maybe in between.
A little bit. Maybe there is something of a connection between the two then, because our friend Pete Adams, of course, and the other one, of course, is at Wayfarers here. Well, he's not averse to a little bit of rappage.
Well, that's just it. I would say, if anywhere, the rapping, or at least the Nova Scotia brewery with the best rap cred, I think is Wayfarers for Pete Adams alone. I will give it to them, despite a Biggie Smalls reference at Candid Brewing. I mean that gives them a point. But no, I've heard Pete do his stuff.
What do they call that when a rapper goes up against another rapper? What do they call that?
Isn't that just I think it's just a rap battle.
Rap battle, right? Well, he rap battles, and he's going to be rap battling with one of the big guys this evening. So.
Biggie Smalls?
I mean, he has passed away, Biggie Smalls, so it might be a bit one-sided, but we'll see what happens.
It seems like a well-chosen battle, to be honest, because even if he does show up, I don't think Biggie Smalls is going to outperform him.
No, Biggie Smalls versus Pete Adams. We've all been waiting for this one.
I'm putting my money on Pete for that one. I think he can take him.
All right.
There is quite a long discography of Biggie Smalls, so he does have a lot of experience and some heavy hits under his belt. But I think Pete's got the win just for the sole fact that he is the only one of the two that is alive.
Breathing, yes. Now, one of my good friends, I've forgotten who it was, gave me a salt box glass very recently, and I'm going to christen that with the Big Poppa
So
as we speak.
On another one of my adventures driving my daughter everywhere, I was down to the South Shore just the other day, and I walked in because so here's my beef. I have a small beef with Saltbox. I will bring this up if and when we do talk to their brewmasters or their anyone of the establishment, because I got excited because I occasionally look up, especially if I'm in an area, look up breweries on the map. So show me the breweries on the map, and it says, oh, here's Saltbox, it's up the road, and oh, over here's Lightship Brewery. Oh, and over here's the King Street Beer Company. And I'm like, oh my God, there's 3 breweries to visit. I haven't heard of these 2 other small ones. That's really fantastic. Go into each one of them only to learn that the King Street Beer Company and Lightship Brewing are all subsidiaries of Saltbox, and so all there is on the shelf is Saltbox. There isn't even like so you'll see on your thing there, it says Saltbox on the one side, and then on the other side it says King Street Beer Company. So it's all salt, and I thought I was finding 3 tiny breweries. I was so excited, and so I'm a little miffed at that. And then the only thing that makes me, because I thought, okay, that's just their thing. But then they opened up their tap room in Wolfville. Did they have a 4th name for it? No, they just called it Saltbox Location. And I was like, why Lightship and King Street when you could have done another one? Have you muted? Oh, okay, now you're still there. Anyway, so that and the other part of the story, I couldn't
let them off.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't remember if I'd bought a glass from them before, so I bought another one, and that's why I had a spare. So then I thought, I'll hand this.
I thought you'd just been gifted it. So in that case, you gifted it to me, but you obviously put the money down in the first place for it. Well, then
it's fine.
Okay. Oh wow! You've got your own Candid glass as well.
Well, when I stop at the places, I try to buy their glass as well. So I thought, do I buy a King Street one? This feels weird because so now I've got a Saltbox one, a Saltbox King Street, and do I collect all 3? I don't think so. This this is dark as molasses. That is jet black. That is proper color. The head on it is delightful. It is not going away, which is yet again proper thing.
You pooter in it.
Wonderful.
I'm getting a nuttiness off of it immediately.
Yeah. Almost like a whiskey cask smell. I'm already smelling kind of the oak cask in there. There's like a sweet but stronger alcohol, kind of a whiskey. Yeah, definitely some sort of whiskey scent to it. Doesn't say anything about the scent on the. Doesn't say anything about the smell of it on the can or on the website, but however. And for the 5.4, I'm all set. How's the head of the top of yours? Mine is it's sitting. It's settling, but it's sitting at a nice, comfortable level. And once it's down to this low level, it's hanging out. I think this one's going to have the legs.
This way, you can get your moustache covered in the old pesky foam. Cheers.
As you do. Cheers.
Good.
Oh. Oh, it has been a little while since I have had one that good. That is...
Yeah.
Oh.
It's chunky, and that's manly. That's a manly pint of...
So chocolatey sweet through, but at the very tail end, do you get that grainy... That is an actual oatmeal flavor at the tail end. I'm gonna... That is
an old
porridge.
Man pint is this, Ross?
Oh,
I don't. I feel like 1, I need to grow my beard more over the next few minutes. 2, I feel like I need to go and put my flat cap on for this. So bear with me.
You did hear the part where I mentioned that it was it was a rap reference to Biggie Smalls, right? I mean, I get the flavor is styled to an old man kind of thing, but it's certainly all right.
Here we go. Now I feel I'm ready to drink this pint because it's an old man's pint.
Yeah,
Ooh, cheers.
with a graffitied Biggie Smalls nomiker on the front of it.
This is. I think I'm going to enjoy all of it. The one thing I will say immediately is because I kind of my videos now sort of
Fine.
got there we go. I did fall asleep, and 2 minutes to 8, I happened to wake up and I noticed that you had already. I didn't put the damn things in the fridge either. I'm so unprepared for today. Not only did I get the wrong beer, it hasn't been cooled down.
No.
However, normally I like stouts to be a little cooler than room temperature. Sort of, I like it to be a little colder than sort of 12 or 13 degrees. That's not room temperature, I beg your pardon. But that's where I normally like my ales to be served. But stouts, I like them to be a little bit cooler, like they've been in the fridge for sort of 20 minutes. Well, these haven't. But as a result, immediately, there's so much flavour in this. I'm not chilling out the flavour of it.
It's astounding. So it's sweet, creamy, very, very smooth. Oh, that's so easy to drink. One mouthful, and I'm shouting to the waitstaff to come back and say, I will have another one of these as soon as you can muster it.
Well, don't have a meal with it, because oatmeal stouts, as we know, they tend to be quite filling anyway. They are chunky. They're a meal by themselves. This is really quite heavy. It's a dense black.
Who's got the money to go to the pub and have a meal also?
Well, this is it. This is a meal.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why you order the stouts. You don't need to get the $17 burger and fries.
Oh, my phone has just warned me that I've just used over 2 gigabytes of data. Hopefully not in the last 5 minutes since we went online.
What? Now we get to discuss your billing cycle, and maybe that's just all the stuff that's used.
Yeah.
How
this is going. This is so rich and thick, and
this is
full of flavor.
Standing. This is. I'm trying to think of something that's wrong, because I think we've had really good stouts before, and I've said things like the only thing that's missing from this is it's not strong enough. You know, it's like a 4.2. I want a stout that's a strong stout. So this at 5.4. This is hitting all my check marks. And I'm trying to remember now. We had the Bar Dog Stout from
oh my god, that was best.
Also very good. It got some top marks as well, but I'm trying to think. I need to drink both of these again to decide which one I like best, but they are definitely both up there.
Was that an oatmeal stout specifically, Ross?
I don't think so. I think it was just an stout. So for this might be the best oatmeal stout then, and that one is definitely the best stout, because they were both very sweet. Now the cereal killer, because you brought up Big Spruce's cereal killer, it's not as sweet, which is great, which is fine. But I do prefer, like, with the chocolatey, get the double chocolate mocha, everything in there, and
Do you get some? I got some nuttiness from the smell, not necessarily from the taste of it. It's got some, but like often a brown ale can be quite nutty.
Yeah.
This has got the smell of it.
It's hiding in the chocolate, though, isn't it? It's hiding in the chocolate malt. If the nut is in there, it's mixed between the chocolate and the oatmeal flavor. But I am so impressed. I've had a number of oatmeal stouts, and this is the first time where I tasted the oats at the tail end.
And it's also got a roastiness to it as well. It's I don't know, when you talk about roasted coffee kind of thing, whatever it is, but I'm getting a roastiness to it as well, right there in the middle.
You know, sometimes we have those coffee ones, and it tastes like burnt coffee, and it's a little too strong. This is just that tiny little bit of roastiness kind of towards the end, but it's letting the malt and the chocolate speak for itself up front.
Well, if
Smooth.
if Pete Adams is gonna
More of this,
out-rap Biggie, he's got his work cut out for him, to be honest. This is a bit big. He's in your face right now. This is right in my face.
That's oh my. I'm because the Mocha Propeller one is a 5.5, so it fits in between the Candid and the Wayfarers. I have to sneak this one in between you having your 2 beers there. So I'm going to happily say that the Candid Brewery, I'm leaving a mouthful, but the Candid, oh man, the Big Poppa Stout, I'm trying to decide how it's not like a high 9s. It's got to be a 9.6, maybe a 9.7.
So smooth. It's creamy. It's rich. It's full of body and flavor. It's got a lovely roastiness through it, and there's no cloying aftertaste. I want another gulp of it. I don't want another gulp of it because I've already almost 2/3 of the way through, and I want to savor it. That looks dark as well, what I'm looking at. So it's actually, if my one complaint is that it's actually too good, Ross, and it makes me want to drink it too fast, and that's not good.
And I agree, it's almost a problem, but it's not a problem.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm happy with a 9. How is it not a 10? This is my problem. If that's not a 10, what is? And I think the Bar Dog Stout might win slightly. I'll have to drink them again.
If it's a 10, it would remind me of a movie that thankfully I finally got Rebecca to watch 2 nights ago.
Okay.
Because I found it on YouTube. Can you imagine what movie I'm talking about when I say, well, the thing is about this beer, it should be a 10. It's got 10s right across the board. But if you want to go a little bit higher, where'd you go from 10?
This one goes to 11.
Goes to 11.
My
we used to watch Spinal Tap. She'd never seen it before, and I don't know, we should steer clear of it or something. And I said it's one of the funniest movies ever made, and she giggled. Maybe not as I did, but it was.
Do you want to know something terrible? I have also never seen Spinal Tap, but I have never seen Blazing Saddles.
Well, funnily enough,
I feel like I need to have an iconic comedy night.
Lily Ashdown, after the Frankenstein thing that we put on there a couple of weeks ago that finished, I mentioned to her that I'd never seen Young Frankenstein. This is another.
Neither have I.
There we go. And she said, "Oh my, really? You've come this far in your life and never seen Young Frankenstein?" So I said, "No, not really. Never been on my radar." And it's not really one of those, when you hear about movies that are iconic and yet you've. So I said, maybe I'll watch that one day, but it's never been one that really appealed to me because I'm not, to be honest, a massive Mel Brooks fan.
Yeah.
Apart from Blazing Saddles, which I thought was amazing when I watched it the first time. Anyway, bless her. When we were doing the last show, she gave me this little package and said, "Thank you so much for being a part of this." And sure enough, Young Frankenstein, she got it from Amazon for me, and we watched it. Probably the night before we watched Spinal Tap together, and it was all right. not as amazing as I've led to believe by the internet and the.
It's the Mel Brooks thing where you watch it and you say, I see what that joke's doing. I see it. Yeah. There's something in the delivery or the timing or I don't know.
No. It was okay. It was made apparently the same year as Blazing Saddles, which I did really enjoy. Oh. If you're going to, what I will say, you being a bit of a movie buff, maybe not as much as that crazy Mike Butler is, but no. If I could recommend either of them to you, probably go towards Blazing Saddles.
That's
But
what I glean from everything. Yeah.
yeah, having said that, maybe I just missed it that evening. Maybe I was a bit tired. I don't know. Maybe I'd need to watch Young Frankenstein again. I'm giving this, mate, this salt box one. I know you're already on the Mocha, and you're dying to tell me how it tastes. Because rather than picking it off the bottom of the freezer, I'm giving this a solid 9. I don't know where to. I don't want to give it to 10 because where do you go from 10 apart from to 11? This one goes to 11, and the only one that goes to 11 is the blooming Bad Apple.
And it did. We put that one
Stout.
to 11. We definitely gave that an 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty happy with a 9.7 for that one because the Bar Dog Stout might be a 9.8, but I don't remember. The
Delicious.
Propeller Mocha Oatmeal Stout is a 5.5%. It smells. This is the nutty. That if you imagine that nutty flavor that you were getting, it is nothing but nutty. It's all this nutty kind of flavor to it, or to the smell. Mocha Oatmeal Stout showcases the best of coffee and beer. Brewed, dark and decadent with chocolate and locally roasted coffee, flavors of brown sugar and milk chocolate are layered on fresh espresso. Pours with a pillowy head and a velvety smooth mouthfeel. They are right about the head on this beer. Look at that. It is gorgeous. However, it's nearly an amber. You can't fully tell. Let me try to show you here, but look at that. It's kind of brownish. It's a little bit translucent. I was not expecting.
I can see it. When you held it up there, I can see certainly from the bottom around the sides. Yeah, it looks a little redder than the last glass that you held on the camera. Yeah.
The stout can be a little bit translucent. It's not the worst thing in the world, but when you're going up against Biggie Smalls here, you got to bring your A game. So I'm not sure what kind of rap battle Propeller is bringing to this battle. So to your freezer with the frozen chunks of what it once was. Cheers. I'm terribly sorry. You're gonna have to just fill in with dialogue or something here, and I'm just gonna have to drink this very fast.
Water. Water.
Wow. You know that nutty odor I was getting? The definitely the bouquet off of that was nut. And it not like nut. Do you ever crack a bunch of hazelnuts in a row, like a lot around Christmas time? And then you start getting used to the smell of the inside of the shell. Not the nut itself, but what the shell smelled like after you cracked it open. This is a hazelnut shell flavor. It's
very nutty.
Very nutty. Outstandingly nutty. Velvety smooth. I mean, okay, velvety smooth, yes. Quite smooth, very easy to drink, but the flavor is... brown sugar and milk chocolate on fresh espresso. And
you're getting the nuts all the way through it.
Yes. And the brown sugar isn't... It's very difficult to find that. Milk chocolate, Even the espresso, it's not, you know, that roasty, that burnt flavor. None of that, which is fine to be not overburnt, but you kind of expect a bit of it. I mean, that was the Big Poppa. It had that little crisp bit of, here's a roast flavor, less of a burnt flavor, and it was quite smooth and everything all blended together. But what's going on in here? The blending of this one is it just sort of landed gray. When you mix all the colors together, it just turns brown and murky and gray, and none of them really stand out. There's no brown sugar. I don't think it doesn't. I can't even say that it tastes sweet.
Is it a bit indistinct? You're trying to latch onto something apart from the nutties.
I am, but all I'm getting out of this is a nutty flavor. And honestly, we have had a hazelnut porter,
which is gorgeous.
If you called this a hazelnut stout or a hazelnut porter, I would say nailed it.
We've had peanut stuff. We've had very nutty ones that put their heart on their sleeve and call them a nutty drink.
Still my favorite, one of my favorites, right?
Yeah.
No, this is saying it's a mocha, and so Okay,
Coffee
well,
chocolate.
a mocha is like a chocolatey coffee, a roasted coffee but it's not translating to what I'm getting out of it. It's tasty, it's
I
nice.
was gonna ask you that, Ross. I'm glad you said tasty because even though you were expecting something by the name and you
Yeah,
weren't getting it, describing it as extremely nutty, I was going to say, but is it good? So,
it is. Oh, and it's a nitro, so it's a nitrous one, and that's why the head. Look at the head on
and you
that
were
one.
saying that's probably the reason why mine exploded in the corner of the room because bloody nitro beers.
Not knowing nothing of science, it is just an
I know.
assumption. This is the only thing that was different about that one. But there was what was the other one that exploded? Was the Annapolis Royal Brown also exploded? I think.
Yeah. That
I don't-
took that too. No,
I
that's
don't-
not.
I don't think
Definitely
it was a. I don't think it
wasn't
was
a
a nitro. No.
Mhm.
It's just so for an oatmeal stout, even actually. So if you ignore the word mocha, I'm ignoring the word mocha just for a moment and saying it's an oatmeal stout. And a nitro oatmeal stout doesn't say a thing about oatmeal on the can in the description. It's all very dark chocolate and brown sugar but it's actually not a bad oatmeal stout. It's just missing on some of the advertising that it had. So this is probably a middling 8. I think it's still pretty tasty. No, it's a perfectly fine pint. I'm a little disappointed in the color, and I think that's just personal preference. I'm sort of, oh, I can see through my stout. Yeah. And I want it to be black as as my cold heart on Boxing Day kind of situation.
I do love the fact that when you held it up there, the creaminess of the head is still sticking to the glass all the way. Look at that.
It's so yes. I mean, you get it's a nitro pint. Oh yeah, the Candid still mine. I compared it. Mine's still got the legs over there too.
Talking of Candid, how long has that brewery been hanging around? Because I don't recognise the name. Clearly, Propeller's been doing it for a number of years. They're over 30 years old now. They're one of the old boys. You'd think that it might have managed to get a Oatmeal Stout correct. I'm being silly, of course.
I don't think Candid has made it because usually the breweries they stick to kind of a local NSLC expansion type thing. So up here in the valley, we get. You can go in and you get some Wayfarers ones, and you get some Roof Hounders over there, and not so much of especially the eastern ones. Well, outside of the really big ones like Big Spruce is a very large one. Breton Brewing, they're the huge the huge ones, but the smaller ones all stay kind of local. So here you go. Candid is an independent, family-owned and operated brewery that handcrafts small batches of beer in the heart of Antigonish, located in the former Casket News Building. Head brewer Brian and his partner Louise opened Candid in May of 2021. So it was a pandemic brewery.
Wow, good for them. Good for them.
I will definitely try to reach out to them as well, because I mean, at this point I'm reaching out to everybody and just no one's I swear 7 people are going to email me back all in 1 week. I feel like everyone's going to check their email at the exact same time. I'm still trying to get through to everybody. just I mean, yeah, check your emails, everyone.
I'm glad I left you're going. Is that your first or second one that you're just finishing off there? Was that the Candid?
Nope.
Was that the Candid? Or the Mocha?
That's the Candid.
Holy crap, you just murdered that pint, Ross, before my very eyes.
Because you didn't have one, and I didn't want to feel like... I didn't want you to feel left out.
You just swigged on that. I've never seen you down a pint as quickly as that, mate. You've got a problem. May I give you this card?
Smooth nitrous stouts. Come on. Those are going straight in me gullet, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. Speaking of not feeling bad about me gullet, Wayfarer's Ale Society, finally a beer that we can both talk about. Back to standards. Sorry for that that dwindling little meandering of me describing to Ian what my beer tasted like.
Yeah, it's frustrating that you can't try it yourself. It's horrible. Sometimes when I've been back in Blighty and I've watched watched you enjoying a beer, I'm like, you bastard! Stop waxing lyrical over a beer that I can't taste.
But then you're usually sending me 2 or 3 from some pub that you're at in, I don't know, Middlefoot, England or something like that. And you say, look at these ones. He said this one was a, oh, I forget, a toffee brown ale. I forget what it tasted like, but it was great.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation of your messages.
Got me. That's very good.
Muddy Big Stout, the Maritime Oatmeal, another oatmeal stout out of Wayfarer's Ale Society, right here in Port Williams, stone's throw, walking distance. I have had it before, and it has not hit me well, so I'm curious. But this was just so that Ian could still have 2. A delicious, rich oatmeal stout made with locally grown and malted oats. The use of malted oats, rather than the traditional flaked oats, allows a much greater proportion of the grist to be oats, resulting in an exceptionally creamy and smooth brew, a meal in a glass. I don't remember it being creamy or smooth, so we'll see about that.
Now,
grist?
Can you remember approximately when you had it? Because, of course, brewers do alter their ingredients, and some batches are better than others. We know that. That's just, unless it's Budweiser. Then if they create these batches small time, and then they might just get feedback from various people and say, we need a little bit of this or a little bit of that. And as a result, they might add or take away some ingredients and improve it. It might be a couple of years since you've had this, Ross. Is it?
Yes, because I cannot. The short answer is I cannot remember when I tried this. However, I have a spreadsheet which tells me when I had it, and it tells me 2 things. One, I had it November of 2021, so almost exactly. In fact, November 16th, exactly 2 years ago, we had this.
Wow.
And you and I both had it. Because it says here that I gave it a 7 and you gave it a 6.
Oh, interesting. Is it 2 years ago that we had? I thought it might be about 2 years ago.
2 years. I thought I had this by myself. For some reason, I thought that you weren't on the show the week that I tried this one. I don't know why. Because I have had this in the establishment. You know, one, you're in Port Williams and you say, "Oh, fantastic, a new brewery. I'm going to go in. You know, Stout Yeoman, fetch me your darkest pint." And they come forth.
Do that. They hate that. They hate that. Barman.
Oh, they absolutely do.
When you do Stout Yeoman, fetch me a pint of your house, then they all think, oh my goodness, not that old lad.
Who's this pretentious fop?
But I'm glad you do when you say that. Good.
Yep.
Neither of us loved it then.
No.
And of course, a 6 and a 7. If I could get a 7 or a 6 or a 7 pint every day, I'd be perfectly happy with that. But when you're looking for something quite extraordinary, then neither of us thought this was it.
I think we were both being polite because it just wasn't a stout. It looks like a stout. I mean, that is, yep, there we go. It's got the jet black. It's got the legs. It is huge. Oh, the head on it is going absolutely crazy. I've got a chocolate bar up top, but it smells. Give it a smell. That was my facial expression a few seconds ago. It smells like an ale, like a. It just smells like a lager, doesn't it? No, wait, I'm getting. Oh no, there it is. Yeah, it's.
I like the look of it for sure.
Mm-hmm. I like the look of it more than I like the look of the Propeller. The Propeller is still looking kind of disappointing. It's sitting over here like an amber I didn't finish, and I don't really know what to do with that.
I'm immediately very grateful because when I went into Wayfarers, because of course my Mocha had exploded several months ago. I've just been through, and I looked around. Yeah, I looked around to see whether there was anything available which was going to be able to compare with the Candid's oatmeal stout. There were stouts. There were stouts, mate. There were Irish stouts. There were various non-oatmeal stouts available. But I couldn't find another oatmeal stout. And bless them, I went online and went straight to Wayfarers and Sea Level. The Sea Level have got quite a limited. Even though they're award-winning, I didn't see anything. There was no oatmeal stout that I could see anyway. But of course, Wayfarers just down the road have this. Now, I couldn't remember whether or not I'd had this or not. I'm immediately grateful that as soon as I pitched up there, yes, they do. And I thought I even recognized the can, because this can, let's be honest, it's not one you're going to forget. It's very spacey, very
cosmic, yes. And there's nebulas, cosmic, galaxies.
It reminds me a little bit of the Galaxy, the WPA by Propeller, I think that is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyway, and Pete was there. Pete was there doing his thing, and he said, "Here you go, mate. And I said, "Oh, shall I grab a couple of cans of that?" And he said, "Grab a couple of cans," he said, "but here, let me give you this growler full as well." So he just gave me a growler. Not just the beer, but the growler, the bottle itself, and said, "That's on the house." So I had myself a bag of chips while I was there, and had a good chat with him, because it's been several months since we chatted, and he's done his raffling, and he bless him, he gave me a growler just on the house, and I thought, well, that's pretty damn cool, isn't it? You don't get that every pub you go to. It's not to say that's going to happen every time anyone walks in there, but
generosity is not the guarantee of good people, but I will say Pete Adams is definitely good people.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
I've always got a lot of time for Pete. He's a very lovely person.
But I do feel that if he's got his Muddy Big Stout up against the Big Poppa in a rap battle, he's got his work cut out for him. Bless him. And I've got a growler full as well afterwards, so I'm happy. But now this is going to be hard. It's going to be hard pressed to beat the Big Poppa.
Oh, definitely. It's got a long road ahead of us. Now the thing is, when we talked to Pete, however many whiles ago that was, when in certain hex was that? That was. Was that last Christmas? No, was that earlier this year?
I think it was like 6. I couldn't remember exactly, but it certainly seemed like 6 months.
Oh, here we go. March. Apparently was when we started this whole thing of talking.
8 months ago.
Yes, there we go. Same time as my son was born, apparently. Wait, what? No, that doesn't. Yes, that is apparently correct.
Oh.
Just 2023. And he mentioned that he had taken over as the head brewer, but the previous head brewer in Detlef Heiss, I think, he had established all the recipes and things. And Pete was he was creating some new ones, but he was pretty much going with what was already there. So my question is this going to be a little bit different because Pete has put his own spin on it? Or is this going to be the same as we've tasted before, and he's just doing the same recipes, and you cannot deviate from, I guess, the boss. So this one is.
Because I don't think these things actually put the date on them.
If anything, you can't trust anything other than talking to the brewers themselves.
It's on the bottom, mate. I'm actually reading it as I speak. I'm going to have to put some glasses on because I can't see a blessed thing.
Yeah, mine doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It might have been on there once upon a nowhere, but it has been, the ink has blurred on mine.
Well, this says manufactured 8th of August 2023, 3 months ago.
Okay, because mine says Ed, and I have 023 is the only thing that survived on the bottom.
Well, it was very recently, so it's a 3-month-old beer. So it's new. I'm going to try it without any further ado. Cheers.
Cheers. That is the strangely sharp tasting.
It's less thick. It's less less of a meal than the other. When we said it was more like an ale smelling, I get that from from the tasting of it as well.
No,
it's less rich, less creamy. It's still quite creamy, less creamy, less of a meal than the other one.
What's that? What's that bite? What's that kind of? It's almost like a hoppy. Ooh, that's exact. Every time I have this is exactly what I taste. I remember this. I want.
Does it taste crossoverish to you? Almost like a stout with an ale in it,
with an IPA even.
Ah, interesting.
Kind of a bittery, hoppy thing going on in there, and it's wandering. It's a 5.7, but
it's strong enough.
The grist of the oats, exceptionally creamy, smooth. I mean, it's creamy. Is it creamy or? I'm getting a weird hoppy.
It is creamy, Ross.
I'm getting a weird hoppy overtone from it, though, especially from an oatmeal stout. I shouldn't be tasting vegetables in an oatmeal. I should be tasting grain and nothing but. You know, like so the porridge, Biggie Smalls' porridge, which I'm now calling that one, is that is the benchmark. And I know I said it's a 9.7, but a 9.7 is the benchmark of a stout. You should all be striving for that and not settling for less. This tastes the same. I don't think this has changed one bit, and it's just a slightly disappointing dark beer because it feels like it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing, which is also a nice way of saying that you've put a pretty dress on something that doesn't normally wear a pretty dress. Like it's a prom dress on a scarecrow.
I'm not getting the richness that I do off of the other one, and I just took another hit from the Big Poppa. Big Poppa? Yes. No, Big Poppa, not the Big Poppa. The Big Poppa did Chantilly.
Honestly, yeah, that would probably work with the Antigonish white-haired crowd. They'd probably love that.
It is more ale-y, this, but I think the reason why I'm thinking that so much is because the other one was so rich that by comparison, it feels a little. Even though it's 0.3% weaker, is it? Yes.
No.
It feels. Right. Okay. It actually feels weedier as a result. Do you know what I mean? But by itself, I find it quite. There's enough flavour in this. But there's plenty of flavour in it. It's not as rich and thick as the other one. To my mind.
When we had the 1772 ale that night with Pete, sorry, the Privateer's 1882, not the 1772. The Privateer's 1882. I loved that. I don't remember loving it in the pub, but I loved the 1882 in the cans. Yeah. And that felt easier to drink. This one feels like it's this strange record scratch of a tangy. I can't even describe it. It's not even a citrus. It's just kind of a. Just at the
Do you
top.
Get an aftertaste?
Yeah, the top of the roof of my mouth is kind of right,
which you can associate with the pale ales, the IPAs. You tend to get a bit of a bit of an aftertaste there. But,
top of the mouth hop.
Interesting.
I'd like to say that Pete has smoothed this one out, but I don't think he has yet. And to no fault to his, he inherited recipes. Fine. And it could take 10. It could take 15 years before he's allowed to say, right, this is Pete's house, and it's Biggie Smalls references, Tupac Shakur, Drake, Nelly, and Puff Diddy. Sorry, I'm all out of rap names that I can think of at the moment. I have precisely 5, and that's it. Is Nelly still a thing? I don't even know. DMX, that's the other one.
Nelly Furtado's not a rapper. I'm sure that she's not.
I'm sure she's given it a whirl. she seems competent. What was it? Follow me on down. She's got the patter, I think, for a quick jiving.
That Nelly, she's great. I like it because I like stouts. So it's on a winner immediately with me. The fact that it's not an IPA. So in that respect, I would definitely order another one. But it's not the best oatmeal stout I've tried. And like I said, we tried it 2 years ago, and neither of us were completely overwhelmed by it. So therefore, I'm thinking the same this time. I like it because it's a stout. And if there was a 6-pack of these under the Christmas tree next month, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But it wouldn't be the best stout I've ever tried.
Yeah, and I would if there's a 6-pack under the Christmas tree, I would sort of look at it and go, thanks. It's one of those. When your grandmother knows that you like craft beer and therefore goes out and buys the craft beer, and then you end up with 6 Propeller IPAs or something like that. Or, I wouldn't even say no to 6 Vickers Cross over this. There's a lot of things that I'd probably accept over this because this is a stout that just doesn't taste like a stout.
Yeah.
And going all the way back to the night that we spent, our first talk with the brewer, our first talk with Pete Adams, the brewer, when I started with what beers would you like to talk about, and a part of me said, please don't choose the Muddy Big Stout, because I don't want to tell you how disappointed with this beer I am.
Oh, so you being a stout and porter and maltier affair, you will always lean towards those. So therefore, this is really hurting you, isn't it?
It is, and every time I try it, so I went in.
And the fact
here
that
you
your
go.
Local brewery. The fact that it's your local brewery. Yeah.
Here is your most local beer. Great. Or here's your most local brewery. Here, great. And you go in. I want the dark beer. Boom. Here you go. And you drink it. And you're like, ugh. Oh, there's something swamp watery about your dark beer. And this is one of the reasons that I've kind of wandered around and tried. Is the Bruce's Lager okay? Is the Helen good? And I've tried, and I landed on the Ruby Red for a little bit of a while. And honestly, I'd probably go back to the 1882 when I'm going back there, because when I'm even in the establishment, I don't order the stout.
Yeah,
because
I get that. It's less of a.
It's not stouty.
It's less stouty than the other. And I get where you're going with it. There's something going on in there. It's more like an ESB, an English or an extra special bitter affair with some darker.
Yeah.
And
it is a jet black ESB. If you told me that this was just a jet black ESB or a black IPA, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the black IPA. I don't get the hoppiness that you're getting, to be honest. Does. It's not doing that to me, but I can definitely feel an ESB, and also like a richer brown as well. In it, so I could feel almost like a brown ale to it, but it's not getting the creaminess and the thickness that I associate with an oatmeal stout.
No, yeah, definitely not of the oatmeal. So previously, I gave it a 7 and you gave it a 6.
Yeah,
I'm good with that. I think that's probably what I'd give it again.
This particular stout. It's certainly not the best I've had. And unfortunately, it came up against. I don't know whether or not you have records of what this came up against 2 years ago, Ross.
I do.
Unfortunately, it came up against a pretty big hitter here. And if people watching, then maybe I'm not going to say recommend the other one because, of course, he's a brewer. But he might want to try the other one and see what he thinks of that. What did this come up against?
Interesting. It came up against Paddy's Irish Pub with the Irish Stout.
It's an Irish Stout. Well, that's again a little different again. And you know what? I don't think Paddy's Stout was knock my socks off either. Did it?
It did not. You gave it a 7, and I gave it an 8. So I would say it was certainly passable and okay-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nothing like what we're having tonight. And what did I even say about this mocha? Did I say middling 8?
Yeah, I guess really it's come up against something of a really, really good oatmeal. This thing here is
I've got a mouthful in each, and I can't wait to go back. Hang on a second.
Okay. It's richer, it's smoother, it's got an all-round, fuller-bodied, round-bodied, and it's it just hits all the right notes for me. It's quite delicious. But the Muddy Big Stout, it's a stout, so for me, it's on a winner from the start because it's a stout. The fact is that it comes up a little short. I can see where your face
a little low
is a bit of a shame because it's one of our locals, and I wish them all the best.
I want to support the locals, especially to continue making beer. And and Pete has come up with some new recipes, and I wish they would put them on the docket because I've tried some of his experiments, and they are so good.
Yeah.
So he knows what he's doing. But they're just not in the cans yet. So I think, and again, Pete is, I'll say it, still young. He's got a lot of brewing and reputation building years left to him, and I think he's. I know he's going to do well if given the opportunity. So I hope that he continues to stay there and hone that craft into bringing Wayfarers. And even further from where they are right now. They're quite popular and they do quite well. I do like a number of their beers, but it's don't quite excel in the dark stuff yet is the problem. I just polished off the Propeller Mocha, and honestly, it's now given me much more of a roasted coffee kind of flavor. But it's just not. It is not smooth. Well. Yeah, it's now nutty and burnt down at the bottom. So here's the final sip of the Candid one.
How's your play going, mate? Christmassy. It's not Christmas yet. It's like it is now.
I hear good things.
Yep.
I was there for dress rehearsal last Wednesday, and oddly enough, I didn't get to watch it because one of my cast was out of town, so I had to play one of the roles for dress rehearsal. So I didn't get to see it. I have not watched the play yet. I missed opening night because I was driving the child around, and then I missed the second night because similar child sports. But I think I'm going to go this Friday. My mother is coming up for a visit, and she wants to go see it.
This is what happened with Mel Brooks all the time, though. When his movies, he just they went there, and he just said, "Well, you're on your own now, and I'm going to go and leave and ferry my child around." And so he never got to stand in and watch his stuff either. That's probably why some of it was a bit hit and miss.
Can't tell if you're serious or not.
I'm not. I'm finishing the Muddy Stout.
Oh.
No, I'm not. I'm going to leave a little bit because I think I'm going to give Rebecca some. But I've left some of this.
How on earth did you leave that much of the Candid? That is just
I had to leave it all while you were doing the mocha.
It's true. I was trying to let you nurse that one a bit more, and by speeding through.
It's heating everything as well. You know, sometimes when you go back to a pint after half an hour or so, and the flavour is kind of wandered away. in the mists of your room.
That's
This
sort of what
hasn't.
happened to the mocha.
It's still full of full-bodied and quite delicious. Yeah, this is a big fat 9 for the Big Poppa.
So good.
And the Big Muddy Stout, it's a 6 or a 7 because one, I like stouts, and it's wearing its heart on its sleeve. It's trying, but it's not ticking all the boxes for me. It's perfect. It's okay.
I don't know.
And the mocha, mate, from Propeller.
7
or 8, you said.
Is that what I said? Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, if I was generous, I'd be giving it a low 8, high 7.
And Propeller have been doing this for over 30 years, and they're not knocking your socks off with that.
Sometimes they really nail it, and other times not so much. And it's the little guys that come in, and those are the ones that I really. I mean, you know me, I'm an underdog favorer. Yeah. I like the little ones and see what they're doing. One of my favorite favorite stouts, the Illuminati. Wait, was that a porter or a stout?
The Illuminati, yes.
The peanut butter stout out of Off Track, Bedford, I think. I hope they don't go on. So sad. The Serpent went. Serpent is closing their doors, gone the way of the Uncle Leos. Much because of the and complaining about the not getting shelf space in the NSLC, and so I think I need to reach out and start talking to some of the people in the Nova Scotia. This was the CBA, and it's the Craft Brewers Association of Nova Scotia. I think the Garrison Brewers, some of the Garrison owners, or one of them. They're pretty high up in the CBA-NS, and I would like to talk to them just about that situation because I feel not so much underinformed, but just maybe out of the loop, but also a little bit. I feel like I care enough about this that I could get more.
It's interesting though because the likes of Propeller, Garrison, they seem to be doing now a much larger seasonal line than they were doing before. They will go into. I mean, Propeller were doing that 4 or 5 summer ales they were doing with different fruits they were trying. So you can go and get a selection pack of different summer ales, lime and oh gosh, I can't remember off the tip of my head. I can't remember what they were, but they were all summer, lighter, fruitier affairs. And they were saying we're going to make 4 or 5 of these and throw them all out there. And I have definitely noticed that some of the not microbreweries, some of the bigger boys, are now doing. A lot of them are doing small batches. It's almost like they're thinking, okay, there is now a market for the smaller, more niche breweries to come in and do what they're doing. And if we're still ploughing our furrow with our generic big hitters, we probably need to hit back. And they are doing small batch brews, which are not bad. There was some Mooseheads, there was some Molsons, etc. Oh, there was some Keiths. I know you're turning your nose up at that, but what I'm thinking is it's all a good thing because they're even the big boys are now saying, I think we have to start,
that's a good point. How the Mooseheads and the Keiths and the Olins. They're saying let's make a smaller batch and let's make it a bit more. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They are making more. Yeah, smaller batches for the more select palates out there that aren't just happy with a generic taste, and it can only be a good thing.
Did I send you a picture of me in the Keith's brewery in front of all the copper stills? This was during my friend Tom's wedding. I should send you that one. I was standing in front of where they're making like the Lunenburg coffee stout. I was right there. But
what do you think of that? I quite like that. I
do like it, and I feel like yes. So the days of just toss out the beer and this is the Nova Scotia beer and everyone will drink it is probably. I wish it was closer, but nearing completion. That it is now turning into, I've gone around to these little tiny breweries, and I really like the IPA out of Backstage Brewing out of Stellarton, Nova Scotia, and I really like this one over here and this one over here, and just finding the little smaller ones and realizing what everyone is doing. I would love to get back down to Heritage Brewing down in Yarmouth, because they were doing some wonderful stuff, and I have not been able to make my way back down there. It's sad that travel expenses and everything has gone the way of gotta kind of cut back on a lot of this stuff. So things have gone pretty extra local recently.
It's a long way though, mate. That's 2.5 hour drive all the way down there.
Which is why whenever I'm driving somewhere for my daughter for sports, I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm probably not coming back anytime soon, so I'd best go find myself some beer. It's not.
I'm still to this day now. I'm still saying I'm going to get to Meander River out Windsor Way, and it's only an hour away. Not even that from me. I keep telling myself I'm going to do that, but I haven't managed to get there yet. But I will.
I'm going to go and check out Hilltop Hops again, because my daughter, she paddles out of Windsor, so I'm down there a lot. And in fact, I walked into Schoolhouse today because it was right next to her paddling club, and I said, "Hello, I said, could I speak to the manager, please?" And the two guys that I've been emailing about potentially coming on the show, neither of them were available, so I couldn't. I just said, "Listen, I'm just in here because I happen to be in the neighborhood, and I thought I'd come in and introduce myself, put a face to a name," of me emailing them repeatedly saying, please come on our podcast. We're actually quite good.
Okay.
We should,
When I'm in Meander, and I will be, hopefully before Christmas, I'll get the feels out for that.
We'll make some hand-drawn business cards. We need to start working on that. I'll draw Bumblebee on one side and the Millennium Falcon on the other.
Do we have to go that far?
I feel like that sums us up just fine.
Bumblebee and Millennium Falcon.
From Millennium Falcon to Bumblebee, we are the
nerd.
we are the Kessel Run of craft beer podcasts.
In under 10 seconds. Cheers, Ross. I'm going to take both of these away.
Did you actually understand my Star Wars reference? That's...
Oh, the Kessler Run. Of course I do.
Wow. I'm impressed. He never gets my Star Wars references. Regardless, thank you very much for joining us here on Drink NS Dry. You can check out our YouTube page, which we go live at every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/@drinknsdry. You apparently have to do that separately. It's all a crazy, weird thing. Or you can find us, Facebook page, Drink NS Dry. Just look at us up everywhere. The official site, drinknsdry.unsupervised.beer. You can find our podcast on all the podcasty places, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon. That's the fourth one. I can never remember that one. And hopefully I'll be putting a few more of these shortened videos up live, but the podcast is available, and we're here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. So thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight, and have a delightful evening. Good night.